So I'm trying to sometimes, but I think I fail quite a bit more than I want to. But so they did find one finally.
Yes.
So I thought they wanted to stay this side of 380, and then they ended up in Melissa.
We started out, okay, let's say McKinney, Allen, Plano, south of 380. And then our first offer was on a home in fact, all the way out.
Yeah.
Bush Belt. New build. That's it. And it's not even gonna be ready in January, so that's when we closed in January. Our original close date on the home in fact was Friday the 13th. Man, I still paid it pile, but it's got until January. I don't even know if I want. Yeah, my wife has an at-home cookie business.
That's fantastic.
Her Instagram is at the cookie coop, and
You nailed the
she's a master craftswoman.
I want to keep the computer back here just so it gets everything
Cool.
easily,
Yeah,
or do
totally.
you want it closer so it's
No.
more? I just don't want it to be like up your nose when you're sitting right
No, that's totally good. I'm good with that. Yeah.
there.
We'll hang. I know there's handful, two or three, maybe.
We're waiting on at least one, maybe two more. Let me
What's that? Oh, so, Will, you're from Austin or live in Austin? So I grew up in Round Rock, and really, okay. And then I went to A&M, okay, and then we moved up here in '02. Yeah, that's what so we lived up here 17 years, and we just moved back to Austin. So my daughter's is going to my high school. Round Rock Dragons. Yeah, I mean he's down more Westlake, more high end hills. Round Rock, we're right near the huge new Apple campus, right around the corner from us. Oh, we'll do that. We're staring up on the.
But I don't think otherwise. Of course, the glare is.
I like how we're SSR, but we could be USSR.
Then I'm like, Spanish to convert to with people who speak Spanish. My girl knows how to speak Spanish.
Everyone just grab.
Yeah.
Okay. How are y'all? I'm Will.
Well, this is commercial.
Rhonda. And Candy. Good to see y'all. Oh yeah, you got it right there.
And everybody was
Yeah, so there's a custom cookie for all my wife makes those, so I'll probably just sit most of it. These here, I can send you a digital. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, all right.
That's for later. Good. The prayer
Good morning.
is right over here on the other side. So, that not too long ago. And can you, I just brought my laptop, I didn't bring something. Can you give me the scratch pad of your?
Yeah, there's I brought some handouts with
That's
tons of.
perfect. Right there's perfect for me. Because, I already got stuff written in from.
I should have one. Sure made it.
I was supposed to.
Did you get both things that I've sent? The wire.
You got all of your profiles? I got most of them set up. I got my my URL set up.
I know. Scroll down.
I just need all of the social. Also. Maybe we could. Right.
Too, and when he sits with new people, like he probably did you, and he just went, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, people don't marketing like you.
I just need to make the landing.
Was that an accurate? depiction.
he just goes like wild. Like you can just see people's eyes glaze over. I like how not everybody's into the marketing like you are. Like I can care less about marketing. The marketing online, the social,
Yeah.
I just
That's
just
your
let me sit
specialty.
down with people.
Fair enough.
I like marketing.
I do too. That's what I mean. Just let me sit down with people. He is. He does that online stuff. He does. Way to go. I like it.
I'm ready. Yeah. Let's rock it. So I'll have you just introduce and read that off, and then we'll jump in. Yes. That's a lot of suits.
Nice.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Stupendous. Exactly as I wrote it. All right. Well, I'm excited to be with y'all, and I never take it for granted when you guys take time out of your days to do something like this that you don't know if it's going to be a benefit or not. So I appreciate you guys taking the leap and coming and showing up. I want this to be light, fun, enjoyable. So I want everybody to stand up real quick. I'm going to do this so that since I'm kind of standing, I'll probably stand up. Okay, so now real quick, I need y'all to focus on this. Like, I want everyone to turn and look towards the person on your right. Now turn and look to the First on your left. Now, really carefully, I want you to turn back and face the better looking of the two. Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Grab a seat. Grab a seat. Young, grab a seat. No, that's the whole thought is one of the things that we really believe in at Southwestern Consulting is having fun in what we do, right? I mean, how much time do we spend in our career? Hours and hours and hours and weeks and years and years. And do y'all believe it's important to have fun in doing what you do for career, for work? So I just invite you guys to laugh with me, have fun with me, joke with me. I don't take myself too seriously, so you don't have to either. And then the other thing that we really believe in at Southwestern is providing tips and techniques that help salespeople go out and close more business. Because if you guys got something from something like this, from a seminar, from a book, and then you went and used it and it worked, would you do it again? That's the whole concept, is just continuing to feed and give things that help us get better. And for you guys, I'm pretty new to this. I've been doing this for 1 year. But what makes it so meaningful to me is I was in something just like this back in 2012. And I got the opportunity to partner with a coach, transform my career. At the time, I was doing about $450,000 a year in sales and had been stagnant for about 4 years. And then once I partnered with the coach, I grew to $1 million a year within about 20 months. And then I maintained that. I had a coach for 4 years, transformed my mindset, just everything. And Jim Rohn says that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And that was, I lived it. So I'm able to, when I left that business last fall, this was the only thing I could imagine doing. So that's why I'm here now. And I know how valuable your time is. So I just want to kind of dive in concept, spend the next 75 to 90 minutes to just give you a couple of things that you can take, be a little bit better today than you were yesterday. So let's jump in. Southwestern Consulting is the company that I'm with. Southwestern Coaching is the actual coaching division. But what's meaningful about Southwestern Consulting and Southwestern as a company, we were founded in the 1860s. And over the course of the last 160 years, we have trained over 200,000 salespeople to go residential door to door. That's where I got my start. I knocked on 4,500 cold doors. Anyone ever knocked on cold doors before?
Phone calls that are close to that enough.
Yeah, knocking on cold doors is the funnest it can be. What was your cold door knocking experience?
Well, that's not cold door.
The doors are cold. Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's where I got my start. The coaching business spun out of of Southwestern in about 2005. We started a seminar business. We started the coaching in 2009. And you can see we've coached over 15,000 people to date. We currently have 3,000 active in our coaching program. But you can see some of the companies we work for. We do all types of different consulting projects, a ton of workshops, over 7,500 of these workshops across the country, across the world, actually. We're international now. But what I want to do today is dive in and really think about what does it take to still accomplish our goals. It's a pretty unique world. I think we'd all agree. Even in a normal environment, outside sales is unique. So what I want us to do is just talk about what does it take to accomplish our goals. What is it that we can do? So I want each of you to take your hand out, and I want you to write down one specific goal that you have, let's say in the next 6 to 12 months. What we've seen is that the people that really hone in on the goal and the things that it takes to accomplish that goal they're the ones moving forward. So it's all about controlling controllables. So we're going to dive into a couple kind of the framework of that. So everyone jot down one goal that you have next 6 to 12 months. And what we believe is the more specific, the more terrific. So a specific goal that you want to achieve. Yeah. Yeah, on that, above that triangle would be awesome because that's kind of where we'll start in a second. And then we're going to talk about the framework on thinking of the goal is all about what can you control in order to accomplish it. Everyone going? Everyone got one? Oh, it's just all about what can we control going into that. That's what we're going to dive into. That'll be the triangle that you see underneath it. And what we're seeing with the way that we work is I actually coach. I coach 40 people. What I'm seeing that's very unique is we've got some people that are bought into all the craziness and they're focusing on all the things external to them. But then we've got some clients that are focused internal, all about what can I do? And they're the ones that are still accomplishing their goals. Everyone good? Okay, perfect. So this will be the triangle, and this is the habits of top producers. We've studied top producers over the years, and what we found is that they focus on three main things. So we're going to kind of dive into those. The first thing you can write is skills, right? So this is all about skill set, technical skills. So of course, in the real estate business, this would be technical and industry knowledge. This would be local market trends, just knowing where you are. This is also selling skills, negotiation, rapport building, communication, the art of bringing a person to a decision, right? That's all about closing. Y'all probably don't get any of these. You ever get objections? No. Right? There's all kinds of things that you can work on to improve your skills. And what we see a lot of times is we see people early in their career where they spend a ton of time on this. And then as they grow in the business, they tend to not do that. They tend to pull away from the basics. And a lot of times in coaching, we bring them back like we got to focus on the basics, blocking and tackling, moving things forward. So that's the first controllable that right now you can devote some attention to. And you can build some time into your schedule that I'm going to show you guys in a little bit. And make sure that you're sharpening your saw. Make sure that you're continuing to learn. Right? You mentioned that. It's all about continuous learning. The second controllable, we call it sales motivation. Right? You guys, how are you guys paid? Straight commission, right? How important is motivation? Is it everything? I mean, practically can be everything. And believe it or not, this is a controllable. You can actually control your attitude. You can control your mindset. You can be constantly looking for ways to stay motivated. A lot of times what we see from where we sit and when we coach is we see motivated salespeople. They'll call anyone, but the skill set's lacking, so the results fall short. I don't know if y'all can relate to that or have seen people like that. What we see more often, though, is we see people that are really, really skilled. Like they could close anyone, they can build great rapport, but they can't pick up the phone. The phone weighs a ton when they're going to make prospecting calls. So the motivation is just all over the place. So then therefore they get on their results roller coaster. Can anyone relate to that one? That's what we see most of the time. So the whole idea is developing consistency in both areas, developing a system that helps with consistency to have time every day that you're spending on both of them. The third is you've got a goal you want to accomplish. You have to focus on the systems. So the systems, those are things like time management, utilizing good follow-up. How important is follow-up? I mean, it's everything. How many other realtors are there in DFW?
How many are in the DFW area?
I was looking up licensed realtors in Texas a couple weeks ago, and it was like in the hundreds of thousands, 300,000 or something. Yeah. So this is about follow-up is where you will capture a lot of business. So it's having good systems for that. CRM, being just efficient with your time in how you touch your prospects with, whether it be social media, however it is that you do it. And all of those help you run a more efficient business. One of my clients, Nolan McHugh, he's with Aflac and they're doing outbound calling, and he's out in Nashville. And the reason he got into our coaching was he said, man, I mean, I'm motivated, yeah. Skilled, absolutely. I mean, I've risen through the ranks through just the work ethic and got really good at it. But systems, he said, I feel like I'm all over the place. I feel like I'm a chicken with my head cut off. Just because it's I've got to improve my systems was the kind of biggest thing. So that's the third. And then the thing that ties these three together is in the middle. It's habits. It's all about developing the habits, because without the right habits, none of this really matters, right? I mean, how many of you have heard good pointers on motivation or good things on a skill set or seen a good new system? What happens a week or two later with a lot of those things? Are you applying them? Or was it just another great idea that never got put into practice? And that's what we see so much. So it's all about developing a system to help make the habits. And that's what our whole model is built on. We now have over 30 companies that are a part of the Southwestern family, that it's all about creating the right habits. And then the thing that ties all these together is everybody's favorite thing: accountability. Like, how many of you woke up this morning and said, you know what? I could use a little bit more accountability in my life. How many had that thought this morning? Probably nobody. But when we're really honest with ourselves, how many of you could honestly say, if I had some accountability in my life, I could probably be further along than I am right now? Anybody? Mm-hmm. In all areas of life, right? What we do has been described as having a personal trainer for your business. Like, you hire a trainer, you ask them to beat you up, pretty much. You say, here's what my goal is. And then they build out a plan, and then they ferociously hold you accountable if they're a good trainer. And that's what we do. We say, what are your goals? How can we help you hit your goals? And so I'm going to dive into, we're going to do a couple of the 3 habits that we've seen amongst top producers. And then we're going to do a little bit of technical skill set. And throughout this, I've already talked about it. I'm going to continue to talk about it. I mean, we do coaching. It impacted me a lot. So I'm going to talk about it quite a bit. If coaching's for you, if you feel like it would be a fit, it would help you take your game to the next level, then do it. We're going to talk about it at the end. And if not, cool, don't do it. Like, no harm, no foul. Sharina won't be mad if you don't or if you do. But I will talk about it, and then we'll just hit details at the end. Then I'll make myself available after to answer any questions and just see how I can serve, how I can help you. That sound fair? Okay. Awesome. So these are the habits of the top producers. Now, here's the disclaimer before I dive into these. These aren't new. We didn't just like come up with these. So a lot of this might be review for all of you. But my question is, if you know it to be true, why aren't you doing it more? Because we typically find most people aren't doing all of them at all times. So why not? And if you had more accountability, would you be doing those more often? So habit number 1, this is huge, especially right now. Find a way, not an excuse. So you can write that, yep, right underneath that triangle. Find a way, not an excuse. We all come up with excuses from time to time, right? Time to time, all the time, both. Yeah, COVID, right? There's some good ones. There's some good ones right now.
We hear that all the time because of COVID. COVID didn't.
Yep. And the truth is, I mean, we're all human. We all have things that severely can limit us. But what we find with top producers is that they're very much focused on, how do I find a way? This excuse, it is what it is. How do I find a way? And the truth is, we have this guy on our shoulders that's been there our entire lives. Anyone recognize those guys? So at Southwestern Consulting, we call that guy in the red Mr. Mediocrity, Mr. M for short. What Mr. Mediocrity does is he gives us rationalizations all day long. He's got a really small mouth, but how big is it in our ears? And sometimes it's all we can hear. And what we have found with top producers is that top producers knock that guy off their shoulders, even if it takes them 200 times a day. Because they're going to find a way, not an excuse. We used to do this thing when we sold books. So we would have a breakfast spot we would go to every morning at 5:30. We'd knock on first door by 6:59 a.m. We worked like 15-hour days. So you had a breakfast spot you were at for an hour. At the end of breakfast, we would do like motivation. We'd read The Greatest Salesman in the World. We'd like try to fix our mind, have a good breakfast. Then we'd go into the parking lot and would do executive exercise, what they called them. And they were just like random off the wall to like help not take yourself too seriously. And one of the ones we would do is we would literally flick the guy off our shoulders and just stomp him. It was just a visual reminder. It's like, I know that I will have excuses that I can take today. I will not take them though, because that doesn't take me. Think about that goal you wrote. How's an excuse going to help you with that goal? Is it? It's going to pull us back. So finding a way always, and not taking the excuses, even though they exist, not taking them. One of my questions to you is, have you ever put blame on a prospect for not winning the business or not taking an appointment or not giving you referrals? Have you ever placed that blame on someone else? Has it ever been their fault that you didn't get the business? So an empowering thought that Tony Robbins said is, when two always in front of the person. So for you, take that triangle and say, how can I get better? So that next time I can learn instead of just putting an excuse. Because if I put an excuse, I'm going to do that for everything. How can I learn from each situation? How can the hardest thing actually be the best thing for me because I learned from it? Okay, so that's first, find a way, not an excuse. The second we have seen is they're students of the game. Has anyone ever heard of the 10,000 hour rule? Malcolm Gladwell and Outliers talked about this. 10,000 hour rule says that, well, first, have you ever looked at someone that's really good at the game, real estate or sports or whatever, and said, oh, they're just so talented. They're so good. They're so lucky. And we associate their success to something outside of them. So the 10,000 hour rule, two of the greatest of all time, Kobe, Tiger Woods. I don't know if y'all have ever seen some of the stuff. Kobe's work ethic was undeniable. A couple of things that were really impressive to me when I was looking this up. He would get to practice in like high school 2 hours before practice started. The lights would still be off a lot of the times, and he would practice 2 hours before practice. He would make guys that were like riding the bench play him in games to 100 after practice. And like I think the most anyone ever got was like 8 points against him. But this guy, you would look at him and say, oh my gosh, genetics. I mean, look how tall he is. Look at the span, like incredible. But it's clear that the dude, he would watch tape at halftime of himself. Tiger Woods changed his swing in 2002 after winning 8 majors because it wasn't perfect. He has a 12-hour daily routine that includes 4 to 6 hours on the golf course, weightlifting, a strict diet. In the 2008 PGA Championship, he won with a broken leg and a torn ACL. Like, that's what student of the game is. 10,000 hour rule says that it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert in your field. Whether that's exact or not, it doesn't matter. But how many have you put in? How many are you putting in? This is your craft. This is your career. This is your future. How much time are you putting in? Is it going to take you 30 years to do 10,000 hours or 10 years? We all have that choice, and we can take control of that. What I love about all of these is they are controllable. They are in your grasp. You can do them. And so the question on this really is like, what is it that you're doing to move forward? What certifications are you getting? Are you going to seminars? Are you listening to great audios? Are you reading? Maybe it's hiring a coach. I don't know, but like, what are you doing to better yourself and be a student of the game? There's tons of resources for you to take advantage of. Are you doing it? And if you did, how much could you improve from where you are right now? I mean, what's the potential in y'all's business? What's the best realtor in Dallas, Meg? Y'all know? Any idea? Yep. And that's the potential. Are you applying these things? Step 1, step 2. The third, this one's huge. Take action now. So I want you guys to each, and girls, to each give yourself a ranking on a scale of 1 to 10. Now, a 10 is someone that's very, very proactive. They are planning out their week before it begins. They have a list of prospects follow-ups they're going to do that week. They know who they're going to see. They've got time to prepare for their appointments. They know what goals they're moving towards. They have their affirmations laminated. They're doing all the things. Then they wake up on Monday. It's TGIM. Thank God it's Monday. And they're just executing. They've already planned it. They just now do the steps that they already built. A 1 is someone with great intentions. They kind of have an idea what they want. They kind of wake up on Monday morning. They don't really know who they're going to call. They get their phone out. Boom, immediately spun into reaction mode. Get up at the end of the week and they're like, I didn't really move anything forward, but I was busy. I definitely worked. So that should be worth something. But it's kind of not in this business, right? So put yourself on that scale. Write down 1 to 10. You don't have to share it if you don't want to. But I think it's really powerful when we're honest with ourselves on this. And the next question on this is, if you're not at 10 most days, or 8 or 9, right? I mean, we're all human, so we're going to have those days. But if you're not at 8, 9, or 10 most days, what is that costing you? Now, notice I said what, not how much. Like for some of you, I think for all of us, it is costing us money. But this was the one that hit home the most with me when I was in your seat in 2012. For me, it was the money, but it was also the mental anguish, the guilt, the waking up, leaving the house early, going into the office, coming home, but not having really accomplished anything at work, except for just, moving some stuff around. Then when I was home, I wasn't able to be present with my family because I'm still at work because I left stuff undone and I didn't make meaningful moves. And then the next morning I wake up and I go into work, but now I'm back with my family because it wasn't the quality time I wanted the night before. And then you get into a Friday. I had weekends off. Get into a Friday and you can't really rest on the weekends or whatever time you have off because there's so much mental anguish. So for me, that's what spoke the most to me. It's like, I want to get rid of that cost because that's turmoil. And then being able to move forward with that. It's just that guilty feeling of knowing that you have more in your tank, that knowing that you're not operating at your full potential. So it'd be helpful if I gave you a tool that would kind of help with that. So this is one that's a lot of people love to see and to then start practicing and putting into practice. Well, first, actually, I got ahead of myself. Do you know what the most invisible cost of business is today? Starts with a B. Most expensive invisible cost in business.
Denial.
Procrastination. Oh, sorry. Well, that'll do it, right? That'll throw you all off. It's procrastination. And see, we've identified a really nasty version of it that we call creative avoidance. This is the concept where, let's say that I'm moving forward with my schedule. Unless I've got a 2-hour time block to prospect. 10 to noon, Wednesday, I'm ready to go. I've got my name's there. I've got my affirmations there. I'm ready to go. But then I get an alert like 9:55. What's that mean? Oh, it must be important. I got an email. Got to check that. So then I get sucked into that for a few minutes. Now it's 10:10. I need to warm up my coffee. I go do that real quick, and then I come back to my desk. You know what? I need some water. Go do that. Come back. You know what? I'm always fresh after I go to the bathroom. So then I'm going to do that. Now I sit back down. It's 10:40, and now I start hunting and packing. Like, who am I going to call? Who am I going to call? You get the idea. It's 11:30. I've made 3 phone calls. Can anyone ever relate to that? That
Yeah, he's a woman that's smart.
that's right. Right. Creative avoidance.
I
So
We have a sign on our door. Well, very important, but yesterday you said tomorrow.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
then it comes tomorrow. Today.
Nike does one of those. What's Nike? Nike has something exactly like that. That's pretty to the point.
I just like their slogan.
Yep.
Get out there
Mhm.
and do it. Just run, just play.
So that's creative avoidance. The reason it's so important to take action now is we all fall victim to this disease that we call Lodi, law of diminishing intent. With anything in life, as time goes, that powerful intention you felt goes down, no matter what it is. So it's very important to create the habit of taking action now. And let me show you, this is something that we do a ton in coaching. I have clients that are 6 months into their coaching that we're circling back on this thing. Okay, how can we make it better? But this is one of my guys. This is Brian Waddell. He's a wealth manager, very, very successful wealth manager up in Boston. And this is his calendar. You guys can notice there's not a whole bunch of space, right? You can also notice that he's got a good amount of green. You know what green is? Prospecting time. If you don't actively build time to prospect, do you think you'll just trip over prospecting? Making calls and stuff? I mean, you might return a call, but you're not going to make active outgoing calls. Or most people don't. If you do, you're a unicorn. But it's about building time. He does this every week. I get this from him every Sunday night. And he's moving things forward. He's having a great year, best year yet, in the midst of a pandemic. And he's not in mortgage, right? Mortgage, if you're having a good year this year, it's like, well, yeah, because you're in mortgage. But if you're in financial advising, then they're having to go out and get that. That's not just happening. So the whole concept with this is a 10. He knows who he's going to call. And then he wakes up Monday morning. He doesn't have to think. He built this with intentions in mind that are driving his goals forward. Now he just wakes up and goes and does them. And what we do with people that are newer in the business is we build study time. When are you studying? Now you can see for him, he's got CFP. I think that's Thursday night. He's got time where he's studying too. Because it's important to be a student of the game and to always improve your skill set. A lot of people really struggle with this in real estate because they're like, yeah, every day is so different though. It's like, yeah, I know. So the whole concept with an ideal schedule is if you don't know what an ideal schedule looks like, you'll never have one. And the whole thing with this is building out the intentions before the week slams you. It's never going to look exactly like that. But you know what the most important intentions you need to move forward on are. So you're able to move forward on them. So the whole concept is that all 3 of these things are completely controllable. So we can all be top producers. And that's what gave me a lot of hope when I was in your seat. It's like, I'm not a top producer right now. So, wow, I have a lot of hope that I can move towards that. What I want you to do right now, though, is go through and circle the one that's most meaningful for you that you feel like you need to focus the most on. Because if you try to fix everything, you'll fix nothing. 1, 2, or 3, which one do you feel like you could put some attention to this week and next week to get better? What y'all say? Number 1? Okay. Why 1, Kyle?
Because I'm good at coming up with excuses. So, I would like to start not making excuses, but just getting after it and making it happen.
Yep.
No matter what it takes, just
Yeah.
find a way, make it happen. Yeah.
Why 3?
I am good at finding a way, and not necessarily an excuse. Sometimes it is an excuse. Mine is just start.
Yeah.
Start.
Same.
I know what I need to do. Just getting off the finish. I'm getting off
Getting
that
off the
starting block.
Yep.
Go. My hard work. Once I've gotten off the block, I'm good.
Yeah.
It's just taking that first step and getting off the block and getting it running.
Add anything to that? Right. Yeah. 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 Not so bad. Hesitate. You want to add anything? Yep. Yeah. Bet you can.
Does it matter even thinking, oh wow, they must have it good. No, I never did.
Right.
So it gets
Right.
to the point to exceed that and know that I want to do. And I can do something about it.
Yeah.
So if I'm
Good. Awesome. Yeah. The knowledge breeds confidence is huge. And whenever you do see someone that excels, I had to change that mechanism within myself because I used to really struggle with comparison. And then I would look at them and say, I can become that too if I just put to practice what they've likely put to practice over the last 4, 5, 10, 20 years. I can become that too. They're just further along than I am. I don't care about age. I don't care about anything else. They've just put in more time and more focus and more energy. So therefore, I can become that too. I can apply these 3 things and move towards that.
the myth of overnight success is not true. It took me 10 years to be an overnight success.
That's right. That's right. Every single time. Yep. Okay. Perfect. So, I want to switch gears a little bit and jump into a couple technical aspects. But if you guys kind of like what you've seen so far today, we've got a group of 8 of our senior partners that build a lot of content. We put a lot of content out for free as a way to build the brand and to serve before we ask for any type of commitment or for people to look at us deeper. If you want to send an email to bonus@southwesternconsulting.com and then put your first name, last name, and then my name in the subject line, you'll get on a drip where you'll get just meaningful content that'll cover all the types of stuff we talk about and then also some technical aspects. Okay, we're at 44 minutes. Okay. Everybody good till 12:20, 12:30? Okay, perfect. All right. So I want to hit the sales cycle now. You guys have probably all seen this. Some of you could probably teach it better than I. So we're going to run through it pretty quick, and I'm going to hit a couple points that I think will be the most meaningful. The first step that I want to focus on, and I hope you can see it in my just the notes of it. I like to think of it as a cycle of the serve. What do people typically think of when they think of a salesperson? But y'all, yeah. So this mindset is all about, I talk a lot about um, Start With Why, Simon Sinek. If you guys aren't familiar with him, check him out. Very meaningful. I talk about him with a lot of realtors and loan officers about building their value proposition. How do they serve the world? Simon Sinek, Sinek. He's fantastic. He's got a book called Start With Why.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But the whole concept is, do you guys ever battle fear of rejection? I mean, it's a real thing. And a lot of times we see it that way because we're going at it like a salesperson, not as someone serving the world. So Jim Rohn says when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. I shared that earlier. But then one that one of our partners says is when your heart is on service, there's no need to be nervous. So if that's the way we're going forward, then there's no need to be nervous. There's no need to have reluctance. There's no need to fear because I'm just serving. And if I'm not for you, then great. We don't have to work together. But if I am, then we're going to enjoy working together. So on this, I want you to, again, zero in on, rank yourself as we're going. Put a star next to the ones you feel like you do really good on. Circle the ones you don't. And then take the things we talked about earlier about being a student. What skills can you improve? And seek out the answers. Reach out to me. I'll try to help however I can to help you find the answers that you need to grow your business. But this is all about not, oh my gosh, I'm so bad at this, or I've got so much I have to improve, but find one or two areas that you can really grow in. So again, we're going to kind of fly through this. So pre-approach, that's the first step in the sales cycle. Pre-approach is anything you can find out about your prospect. Now, this could be some of your fact finder, right? This could be why might they want a new home, or why how they know someone else, how they're connected to someone, or some way to connect to them. But most of the time, the pre-approach we see serves who? Does it serve the person that you're calling on, or does it serve the salesperson? Salesperson. It's very much salesperson focused. So one of the things that we teach is we teach a thing called golden nuggets, and I'm going to get to that. If y'all notice on the left side of the triangle is a sheet of introductions. If I do a good job in this, then I'm going to ask for some introductions at the end, and I'll teach you guys kind of about golden nuggets. But a golden nugget is, tell me, let's say that Jose referred me to Kyle. I would say to Jose, what is one thing that you respect about Kyle? So then when I call Kyle, I have something that serves Kyle, not just me. So I can build Kyle up, and it elevates every relationship in the triangle when you get an introduction. And that also helps reduce call reluctance, because I'm going to lead with a compliment, and it's amazing. Most people are like, oh, yeah, whatever, but when they see it in practice, it's an instant. I had a client that gave me 3 introductions. He's a coaching client. I've done some workshops for him. He gave me 3 introductions to a financial advisor, a guy that runs a CPA practice, and a lady that does copywriting. And I did that technique where I did a golden nugget for each of them. One of them wrote an email and said, "Thank you for the introduction." The other called him and thanked him for the introduction. So that's what golden nuggets do. Now they view Rick better because Rick paid them a compliment. They view me better because I led with a compliment, and they feel good because they've been built up. So that's a great piece on pre-approach, which leads to the approach, which is the initial call. The reason golden nuggets are so valuable is anyone ever heard of the 7-second rule? Different than the 5-second rule. 7-second rule. 7 seconds to make a good first impression. It's been shown that it can take 10 follow-up visits to change that initial impression. If you make a bad first impression, you get 10 other opportunities. Two. So this is all about navigating, which we talk about how to sell to different personality types, how to make that initial phone call, but then also using that golden nugget and pattern interrupts. So we teach a lot on that in the approach. The whole concept is how many people are calling on your people. Is anyone else calling on them trying to do business? Right? So how can you stand out? Which leads to the introduction. Now on that page where this is all broken down, these are the steps here. You'll see a CLASP, C-L-A-S-P. That's a methodology that we teach how to fact find. Anyone ever had, I know Kyle mentioned it, but anyone ever had a client that wants to see 60 houses before they make a decision? Is that too many houses to see?
Yeah.
And so this CLASP, has anyone ever got an objection at the end that they should have seen coming, that they should have tackled it earlier? The CLASP is a way to go through the fact finder where you establish yourself as an expert, but it's no selling. It's only asking questions. And it's finding pain. In the A, we do what's called CPR, which when the pain to change is lower than the pain of staying the same, they won't change. Realtors, house, whatever the situation is. So it's a method to help them feel more pain by helping them see that maybe their other realtor is not the right one, or maybe this house isn't the right one, or whatever it is. But it's something that we dive into a lot on in coaching. I won't dive into that today because I'm going to hit referrals today. That's what kind of Renee and I talked about. But that's something that is a great way, a great format to do on your fact finders, because that leads to your presentation. Where do you feel like people spend most of the time? Is it in the introduction or the presentation? Most salespeople like to talk, like to say, well, we do this and we do that, and I'll do this for you, and we'll do that for you, and this, and look at this one, look at this one. And that's all talking, whereas an introduction is your prospect or your client talking, and you asking questions, seeking to understand their situation. Where we focus is introduction should be 65% of the process. Because if I have a really firm understanding and I'm established as the expert, then my presentation's short. because there's already that built trust, and then we can move forward a lot quicker. So then, of course, you have to close the business. We teach 15 different closes. Most salespeople have 2. What we try to do is build out 5 for each person that they can master. Because if you get 4 objections, how you can overcome 4 objections with 2 closes? It's not like a broken record. Now you're a pushy salesman. You got 5 ways. You're not going to get. You're going to have ways to overcome the things that they're throwing at you. So of course you've got the objection piece, and then you've got the referral ask, which makes it full circle. Because in the referral ask, we're going to say, "Give me some gold nuggets. What do you respect about them?" And you can see how it makes full circle.
Why is objection?
Because you typically won't get an objection before you try to close the business. Now, what happens is you'll bounce here, and then you'll bounce back here, then you'll bounce back here, then you'll bounce back here, then you'll bounce up to referral. Hopefully, right? You'll close the business, then you'll skip that step. But typically, objections will always come after the close, and then you'll bounce back and forth. So, I guess objections should be more out here, technically, and then bounce back into the flow. Okay, so many of the things I've said so far, a lot of people are like, yeah, I know all this stuff. But what I always find is, but I'm not really doing them all. Or I'm not really improving in each of these steps. So for instance, how many of you will take referrals? This is one that usually stings. I know it did for me. Of the last 10 people you met with, how many warm? Anybody have more than not many? What's that?
We are. Most of the business.
Probably 95% of our business is referral.
See, and that's what I hear most of the time. And yet, most of the time, realtors tell me, but I want more business.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, all my business is referrals, but I'm not getting as many as I'd like. So of the last 10, how many warm leads did you think you got? Okay. I was with the group Modern Living Real Estate. They're in Uptown, and we went around, and one of the top producers there was like, I got 1, and most people were. I think we had a 2 or 3, but most people were around 1 or less than 1. Yeah. So the whole concept with this is, how much more could you take care of growing your business if you took a different approach to referrals? Does everything kind of start with getting that name? So it's a pretty important step. So one of our clients, guy's named Brian Morris, he's with SCMA Financial Services. He was telling us the number one reason he partnered with a coach was for that referral piece. Prior to, he had been 18 years in the financial business, which has a lot of similarities. I mean, it's a large transaction, a lot of trust. There's repeat business over the years. It's not a high transactional business. Over the 18 years before joining with us, in the first 6 months with us, he got more referrals than he had in those 18 years. So if you take this technique, this will grow your business. So we're going to dive into that. Okay. So how much more fun is it to call on referrals as well? A little bit more fun?
Yeah.
A lot easier. There's already trust. There's a book, Stephen Covey, Speed of Trust, talks about this. When there is trust in a relationship, everything moves faster and it's cheaper because you're not having to do all as much marketing stuff. You're not having to. It doesn't take you 7 visits to close a sale. There's already that trust is so huge. So here's just a couple kind of fun stats about referrals. 70% higher conversion rate, 69% faster close time. That's all about that speed of trust. 18% lower churn. So you're gonna have way more business, a lot more fun. So why don't people get more referrals? What's the number one reason we don't get more referrals?
We don't have one.
A skill or will. Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's I don't know. I've asked them before. Whatever it may be. This is a guy that we coach. His name's Paul Rigo. He's with Loan Depot, and he's been in coaching since 2017. First thing we went to work on was referrals. He admitted that he had never got more than a couple direct referrals at all. And he wanted to take control of his business more, his lead gen. He wanted to just be in control of it. So he and his coach started working on the stuff I'm about to share with you. And he went from never receiving direct referrals to getting 10 to 15 a week. His business grew 40% that year and grew 40% the year after. So it's turned up the heat on where he was going. The second thing is they ask passively with things like this. You don't have to raise your hand if you've used these or if it's in your signature on your email. I did a workshop last month, and they were all poking fun at one of the guys because that was in his signature. I won't, it's all good, but that's exactly how he was asking. Who do those serve? They serve the salesperson, don't they? But yet, what do we exist for? Why do y'all do what you do? What is that? What you tell your clients? I'm here to make money. What do you tell your clients? I'm here to serve you, and then we do this for referrals. Serve me now. Kind of opposite of what we've been saying the whole time, right? Yep, we do the reciprocal ask, but those kind of gross. They're very passive. You're not gonna. You might get a referral here or there from that, but that passive ask is never gonna take your lead generation to the next level. And then the third is they actually ask poorly, and they set themselves up to not get referrals. Yeah, thank you so much. They actually set themselves up to not get referrals by the way they ask. So let me teach you guys a better way to ask for referrals. There's 7 steps to this. If you can find space on your paper, I don't know if there's much space. But here we go. This is the concept that I want to hit home with you, with all you on. This is the path most people go to growing their business. They get one client. If they get a referral, they do a 1 + 1. Now that grows, right? I mean, that's going to grow 1 + 1 + 1. I mean, eventually you're going to hit a big number. The concept behind this, the people that use this and actually put it into practice, typically average 5 to 7 referrals per ask. So the concept is this. How fast does that grow? 4 times 4 times 4. 16 times 4, 62 times 4, 240 times 4. It's going to grow rapidly. And that's the concept. Would you guys benefit if you have more referrals? Would it get your business? Would you be able to achieve your goals faster with more referrals? How much faster? Exponentially? hmm
Four times.
That's the whole concept. So this is Scott Kramnick wrote a book, Expecting Referrals, and what he said. You probably have all read that quote by now. It's all about. We go back to systems. We have to have a system. We can't just say we've got a system for everything else, but then we just throw up some passive lob for referrals. No, it's just like we would have a phone script, we would have an introduction script, we'd have a presentation script, we'd have some closing scripts. We need a referral script too. So that's what I'm going to show you. Step one, transition statement. If we just jump straight into the ask, it's jarring. It's like, whoa, easy. I wasn't ready for that. So here's an example. Thank you for who you are. I wish I had 10 more clients just like you. Maybe you can help me in another way. Now, we script these different for everyone. This is just the framework. And the point of a script isn't so you can read it word for word, it's so you can know the steps. So don't get caught up on, oh, that language sounds stupid. Like you would modify it for yourself. Thank you for who you are. I wish I had 10 more clients just like you. Maybe you can help me in another way. This is my favorite slide ever. Do y'all know what the most revolting word in the English language is? I looked it up. Most revolting word, the most cringe-worthy word in the English language. No one will probably say it out loud. I looked it up. When you pull a group of people, most disgusting words, moist always wins in a landslide. Most universally hated word in the English language. That's what people hear when they hear referral. Has anyone ever been burned by a referral? Has anyone had a bad experience with someone that they referred to someone else? When I was in the clothing business, when I would call on someone, if I approached it wrong, then they would call their buddy and be like, "Why are you sending this guy to me?" And then that guy calls and is like, "What'd you do? Like, what are you doing?" Like, everybody has had a bad experience with a referral. So one of the things that I want to teach you guys is to not use that word. There's too much that goes with it. If I'm at a party and you're with me and I know you and then we bump into Candy, I would introduce you to Candy. I wouldn't necessarily refer you like, whoa, that's too much. Like I don't even know I don't know. But I would introduce you. That's all I'm looking for. So take that word pictures. Like, here's someone I know, here's someone else I know. Y'all talk, figure it out. Like if it makes sense, cool. So that's the concept. Introduction. I'm not looking for a referral because how do you know them? You don't know every aspect of their life. I'm just looking for an introduction. And because you can see in these how many times is referral. It's so, and then that name is attached forever to that name. Whoever referred you, that's forever or mine. So second, zero pressure. We call this buying atmosphere. I would love to work with some folks you can introduce me to. If this is for them, great. If not, that's okay too. I will not bring the hard close. It's really no big deal. Help them release the pressure of the bad referrals they've made before. I'm not everybody else. I'm not going to blow them up. And I would actually, when I did this at times, I would say, here's what I'm going to do. Give me the name. I'm going to call them a couple times. I'll leave them a voicemail, shoot them an email. If no reply, I'm out. It's like, no big deal. Like it's not for everyone. So you just tell them it's no big deal. No pressure. Step 3, paint the picture. Let them know the type of people you want to work with. Put them in your shoes. Give them a quick elevator pitch of what you do. As you know, we do help people find homes, but we also sell homes, work with investment properties, vacation homes too. If you hear me, who you talk to? So I'm going to give them, well, I don't know who else would want to buy a home. Like, well, you know, beat the objection before it comes up. Here's what else we do. So that's step 3. And then step 4, this is really important. This is called isolate the faces. Raise your hand if you've ever said, who do you know that would be interested in what I do? Or some version of that. Who do you know that might be interested in what we do and how we help you? Anyone ever said something like that? Yeah? What we're causing them to do, we call that psychographics. You're asking them, in psychographics, you're asking them to think for someone else. And how good can we think for others? Not real well, huh? We want to shift to demographics. Demographics, what's a demographics? Like, it defines a type of person, doesn't define what they think, right? So this is this is about, again, isolating faces. Who is your buddy at? Kyle, you golf. Who else do you golf with? Who if you were to go on in a foursome tomorrow, who would be the other 3 guys? That's right. If I asked Rhonda, if I asked you guys, said, if you were to go on a double date tomorrow night, who would you go with? Who would y'all invite? Who would the first 5 couples be? Like, the point is, you can probably picture some people, right? If I said, who are some people in your networking group? Who are some people that are on that board that you're on? That's isolating faces. When I ask you those questions, you immediately see people around a table or in a group or at a restaurant. You see people in the places you've been. Whereas the demographic or the psychographics, I'm like, who do you know that might be shopping for a house? Like, I'm not in their living room every night. Like, I don't know.
Does it hurt to say any particulars? Like, do you have anybody that you can think of? Do you have 3 people, or do you have a few people that you can think of right now that may be ready to downsize?
So I would ask a demographic question. Who do you know that kids are all off in college? So yeah, and just maybe a small variation of that, but yeah, absolutely. And that's it.
I didn't look into it.
Both of the ways you ask, yes, it's more demographic than psychographic.
So it's okay to just get to the point.
Oh, heck yeah. If you've built trust, you've done all the other stuff. The big part of this is there's got to be established trust. But if you've closed business, there's a level of established trust. So it's moving forward from that. But what we do in this is we help people come up with lists of memory joggers. Memory joggers are the demographic questions of who's your client. Now ask questions. How do you find those clients? What questions can you ask to find the right clients? Step 5, write down the referral. Momentum. What a lot of people will do at this point is be like, oh, sweet, I got an introduction. Thank you so much. You're done. How do I call them? What's their number? And then they move on. Ride the momentum. Who else? Thank you so much. This helps a ton. Who else? Who else? What about this? Throwing in other demographic questions. What about anyone else that's recently divorcing? Anyone else that's kids are like seniors in high school that are probably going to be looking in the spring? Anyone else? Every time, every few names. Thank you so much. This is huge. This helps a ton. Who else? Who else? You ask focus questions. You can see how you can get some momentum. 5 to 7 names. Hey, 2 to 3 every time would be incredible. 5 to 7, you start running out of time to call them. Could like that problem. I'd be cool with that problem. Then, man, that is that's all I can think of. Okay, awesome. What's the best number to reach them at? Hey, what's one thing you respect about Kyle? What's one thing you respect about Rhonda? Now I'm collecting the golden nuggets. If I have great rapport with someone, it'll be, man, what's something super random about him or her? What's something that would just be really funny to bring up on a phone call? That's another method that then on the approach, you can get the other person laughing. That's an incredible approach if the other person's laughing. Because you've already broken down that wall. The wall of what are you selling? What do you want? I'm busy to ha ha ha. Oh, that's so funny. Oh yeah, he's a great guy. So we do what kind of decision maker are they? That's where we bring in that navigate aspect. There's 4 main personality types: fighter, entertainer, um, counselor, detective. Fighter, straight to the point. Detective wants to know all the facts. Entertainer, life of the party. Counselor is going to sit back and just observe. Which person are you calling? That's the way to find out. Are they super fast? Are they just life of the party? Are they just over analytical? Okay, perfect. Now I can tweak my approach to speak to them the way they like to be spoken to. Golden rule is speak to people the way you wish to be spoken to. The navigate is speak to them the way they wish to be spoken to. So, but when we ask these questions, then you can see how it makes the full circle. Now pause for me for a second and imagine if you could just master that one step of referrals. How much better is your pre-approach with the golden nuggets? Then how much better is your approach when you're calling friends of friends and you got them laughing or you got them in a place of feeling elevated and respected? Then how much trust is there for the introduction where they tell you exactly what it is that they're looking for and how you can serve them best? And then how easy is the presentation when there's trust? Then do you even have to close? There really any objections when you've got that much trust? Then how many referrals will a referee give you, knowing that that's how they met you too? Then you can leverage that. Thank you so much, Rhonda. I appreciate Renee putting us in touch. Who else do you know that might appreciate this? Who do you know that might be in this life stage? Who do you know at this group? And then just elevate. Where would your business be a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now? Just applying that. Yeah. And that's what we do in coaching is we help implement these techniques and help apply the 3 steps and improve your skills, improve your motivation, improve your systems, build the right habits. But at this point, who learned something today? I'd love to hear what's the biggest takeaway? Because if you try to change everything, you'll change nothing. But just from this today, what's the biggest thing that you feel like you need to apply quickly? Yep. Mhm. Yep. Yeah.
I think that helps with accountability. I mean, there's your accountability right there because you've written it down. I mean, am I right? There's some accountability right there. You've written it down, so now you're like, okay, I've already got this. Now you feel a little bit more obligated to follow those steps because you wrote it down.
Or you just violate your own integrity and not follow through, which
Well,
is
that's
where
true.
I was, and
True.
that's why I actually
That's
just
why I don't write it down. I'm just
right.
kidding.
That's a great way to. I actually personally, I personally just hired a coach because I found myself not following through on these great intentions that I actually spent time building out, and then I wasn't following through. So then the self critique. There's a book called Self Compassion by Kristen Neff that I've been reading, and like I'm right in the square of that. Like I don't follow through on it, and then I'm horrible. I'm awful. I'm never gonna get there. I'm never gonna do this. So I mean, it helps, but then it's adding accountability from the outside. It was for me. That's the first step, though, for sure.
Yeah, they can. And you have to let go of the work. And then maybe I didn't really my writing, but I'm not very good at no blocking everything else.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
outside environmental factors as well.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe if you're out in the field,
Sure.
but you know, in the corporate with Packard, I was on the computer all day, so I had to do stuff, but still just being from home, there was still distractions.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you? Ken?
Time management.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's typically something in every aspect. At this point, most people are like, man, if I got this much out of an hour and 15, maybe cool to hear about coaching, see about coaching. So I'm going to just dive in real quick, share some details. And again, like I said earlier, if it's for you, awesome. Let's talk about it. Let's get you a coach. If it's not, sweet. I hope this was beneficial. Either way. Um, so we have 4 programs. I'm going to really share one of them with you today. It's called our Top Producer's Edge. We have a Manager's Edge too that would be like a Renee or someone with building wanting to build a team. Well, let me just share, excuse me, share some of the details. Now, there's 3 main reasons why people decide to hire a coach. First is increasing income. Kind of obvious, right? I mean, a lot of salespeople are like, I want to drive more income, but not everybody. Some people are looking for more balance in life. I'll get to that. We have, on average, helped our clients increase their income by 25.1% in the first 12 months, and they continue from there. But let me show you. Here's Krista. She's a Nashville realtor. She said to start, I've seen a 137% increase since we began. All about getting on schedule and time management being really helpful. So, first thing, increase income. Second, multiply your time. This is all about buying your time back, creating more efficiency, getting more done in less time. We actually have coaching clients that work half as much in double production through improved systems, all that stuff. So this is Brad Fowler. His was a 2-page testimonial. Century 21. I was not using my time as effectively as I could. I was not good with staying within the block time on my calendar often put tasks off until the next day. Once enrolled, I was able to gain a role extremely the importance of blocking time and sticking to the schedule that coach helped me set. Results came quickly. This alone has been a valuable tool. So he kind of saw both increased income and getting his time back. And then the third thing that a lot of people get into coaching for is increasing your confidence. This one, here's Lynn. I appreciate the approach to really align every part of your life to your goals and dreams. It all works together, and we're seeing things work together better than before, always looking for the next step. The whole concept with Srini even mentioned, like a life coach, it's like we're sales and leadership and life coaches. My wife jokes, she's like, you're more of a therapist. Like, okay, cool. A lot of what we do is breaking through the mindset blocks and helping. When you improve your skill set, you gain confidence. So we can leverage that through the different things that we have and through working with a coach. So what's included? We do one-on-one coaching calls. The way that we pair people up with their coaches is pretty unique. We do a personality profile and a questionnaire where we kind of get to know you, kind of fact finder, and then through that we're able to pair you up with a coach that will speak to you the way that you're best spoken to based on the personality profiling. And then you have 2 calls a month, 45 to 55 minutes, where this is where the magic happens. This is where you're really diving in, breaking through a lot of the mindset. And then in between calls, coach will cover a module with 25 modules. Think of them as playbooks from anything from confidence, overcoming fear to approach, fun techniques, closing, overcoming objections, all the sales cycle as well as all the mindset stuff. And then once you get one of those, for the next 2 weeks, you get a 3 to 5 minute video every other day that'll reinforce it. Again, we're building habits. It's all about how repetition, how can we create the repetition, and that's how we do it. And then the way we really help people grow their income is we have a tracker that we've built out called Critical Success Factor. This is where we watch the numbers. Numbers don't lie, people do, unfortunately. This is where we can really track what is happening so that we can say, here's what your goal was. Are you doing the things that are going to get you there? And sometimes they're, are you working out? I mean, like, and this isn't just business stuff. This is, I mean, I would have date nights. I would have exercise. I would have all kinds of other things. So we can really customize it based upon what your goals are in life. So a lot of people are wondering, it's like, how do I know if I can expect that type of results? Here's the 3 things we ask if anyone even wants to look into coaching. Are you coachable, committed, ready for change? If not, don't do coaching because it's going to be like getting your feet pulled. Are you coachable? Are you coachable listening to someone else that has real experience from a company that's been doing this for 160 years? Are you coachable to listening to someone else? Are you committed? 12 months is what we ask for. Not lifelong commitment, not blood commitment, just 12 months because we have to see through every cycle of the business. And a year gives us a good opportunity. We've tried 6 months, we've tried 2 years, and a year seems to be the sweet spot. Now I was in for 4 years with a lot of content. One time I've been in for 230, 40 months or something. So there's some that stay way beyond that, but 12 months is what we ask. And then are you ready for change? Not do you want change, but are you ready to change? There's a big difference there. Are you really ready to take the steps to build a different future? Anyone ever, Renee did tell me that money's the only thing here, so we can just bypass this. I don't know if anyone's ever looked into coaching before, but it can be all over the gamut. Anyone know who Tony Robbins is? You know how much he charges to coach someone? Coaches charges $1 million to coach someone. A coach in his program, they're $25,000 up front. And you see, I mean, we've had clients all over the place. And a lot of people with what we do, what we give, every one of our coaches has 10 plus years being top producers before they become coaches. So most people expect 1,500 to 2,000. I think the reason we have a lot of success is it's just $5.99. Now I know it's like we have to price it where like you have to have skin in the game. Yet, like, let's not price it so high that only the people that can afford $25,000 to write a check for it. Like we didn't want to do that. Most people say that's super reasonable considering how much of a house do you have to sell to cover the annual cost of it? No, for the $5.99 a month.
Oh.
For $300,000 you cover the cost for the year. So we tried to make it where it made sense. If we can't help you sell one more house, then like we should be fired. But that's what we do. We help people grow. So at this point, most people throw out a couple objections. And the thing that I always say on this, I was in this stuff when I started. I had 3 kids, a wife at home. I could not afford it, but I was ready for change, and I was committed to it from the jump. It was scary. I called my coach before my second call and said, "I got to cancel." He goes, "Dude, are you ready for this?" And I said, "Yes." He goes, "Let's go." I was like, "All right, I'll figure it out." And I did, and I grew like 60% the first year. So if it's scary, then maybe it's the right thing. If you're ready for it. Don't get me wrong, if you're not ready for it, don't do it. But all I'm saying is there's never gonna be the perfect time to get a coach. If you feel like it would be the thing, when was the best time to plant the tree? 20 years ago, when's the next best time? Right. So for me, that's what I was like. I thought it's gotta go. It's scary, but I'm ready for it. So if that's you, again, if you want to talk about it after, I'm here. I'll be a resource. I'll be really upfront honest. And again, I've been here for 20 years. Highs and lows and all. So, but at this point, I'm about that for home. But at this point, who's open-minded to getting a coach? Anyone say that open-minded to it? Yeah. So I was gonna have Renee do this part or Sharita. But one of the things that resonated a lot with Renee is, you know, we talked about her. I mean, she's a mother now, and she is going to hire a coach. It's going to be timing for her. We may look at doing it at the beginning of next year, but she wanted to make this where it was a no-brainer for y'all because she saw the benefit of having an outside voice. So the thing that she was going to present is if you do decide to get a coach, she'll do an 88-12 split instead of 85-15 split. So she'll give you an additional 3%. So I ran the numbers. If you, I mean, y'all can run the numbers, but it closes the gap pretty quick. Where every you get that extra 3%. So I'm going to run through this real quick. Then I'm going to hand you guys each this little brochure, and it has the contract in there for coaching. Here's what I want you to do with that is I want you to fill out the top. It's just a record that you're here. It won't charge your card. You won't even put your card on there. And then I'll give you some more instructions on that, but I'll pass that out in a second. We do a fast start scholarship. We know that the people that do take action now do really well in coaching because they just like they find something, they move, they do it quick. So we want to pour fuel on people that are in that spot. So a few things that we do, we have an ownership bundle, 14 videos, worksheets with reflection questions on each video, all through an online platform. $200 value we'll put in. Second thing is 42 days of prospecting time. This is one of our senior partners. He was my coach. He's crazy. 42 days. We've got a 4 to 6 minute video on prospecting, phone calling, almost exclusively phone calling content. Then you'll get a top producer pack. We just came out with a new book. It's about to come out. You'll get first copy of that. You have all these books, and you have digital audio library with supplemental training. And these are all our producers. These are all of the people that have built our business. I already did your part, so you're safe. That's totally good. Okay. Absolutely. Yep, we do. You'll the fourth bonus. This is a new thing we've just built. It's an exclusive monthly webinar series called Mastermind, and it's going to be hosted by our top producers and top coaches. And it's a $1,200 value. And then you'll get the first once launched, you'll get this book. So quite a bit of additional things to again just try to pour fuel on you and give you a fast start and give you things that okay, you need to study, skill set, will set, boom, here you go. Just start working through this content.
And that's just, this is when I give that 3% back with what they're offering down, that 3% is gonna help you close this. And so if you're gonna benefit from it,
There, I'm going to give you those. You get one too. So on here, here's the contract. Okay. Now, again, just fill out the top, whether you're in or out. Just fill out the top. It'll let me know you're here. Now, here's what I want you to do. Everyone at this point falls in one of three categories. A one is let's go. I'm hiring a coach today. You'll get your coach assigned on Friday. A two is this would be incredible. I have a question. That's a two. And then a three is thanks for the workshop, super beneficial, or it wasn't. No thanks. That's a three. Whichever camp you fall in, again, cool with me. So go ahead and fill those out, and then I'll just kind of hang here for a second, walk around in a second, and see if there's quick questions I can answer, and then I'll be available. Who are the coaches? So the coaches for realtors, the coaches will be very experienced in coaching realtors. All of our coaches, 10 plus years of sales experience in their respective field. And then from there, we assign it based on the personalities, based on the profiling, and based on my conversation with you. After this, if you're a one or a two, then I'll say, okay, who would you be paired best with? And then we'll make sure that we pair up, do the right process.
Where do we put the number? One.
Just at the top, just in the top in the open space. Now, here's the thing. I told Renee this already. Like, I'm hoping that we get to work with Renee as well in the coaching, and she has alluded to wanting that. My goal for this is that we do another workshop like this in the summer or fall next year. I will always be a resource. I'll give you guys my cell phone if you're in coaching and if you're not, and we will make sure that you're getting what you need from coaching. So trust the process because we've done it a lot. Again, we've had over 15,000 people go through our coaching. Like a 1.5 or like a 2.5? We can visit. We can visit after
I need
for
to
a few
visit
minutes.
with that.
What's that?
I need to visit with
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
I have an absolute specific
Okay. Okay.
need. It has nothing to do with real estate.
Okay. We can talk about that for sure. Okay. Everyone's good through that. Y'all like winning? I got a trusty little book right here, and then also that mastermind recording that we talked about, that $200 value where it's 12 videos with supplemental material. I put referrals on there just for fun, but for every 2 introductions, you'll be entered to win that, and I'll use your contract, the paperwork that you're signing right now to do the drawing. But here's what I'm looking for. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to ask for introductions. I try to run one of these a week, and the way that I build these is by introductions from people that have been in a workshop. So what I'm looking for is other small brokers like Renee that you might have, or independent realtors that might be on their own or might be with a really small brokerage, something like that. I'm also looking for who are your branch managers or your loan officers that are your referral partners. Who in the title business? Do you have any financial advisors that you partner with? Do you have any CPAs that you partner with that would appreciate something like this?
I can give you names of every single classification you choose.
Perfect. You got 10 blank, right? But that would be a huge help if you could just put those here. And then on the golden nuggets, what's one thing you respect about them? If you got a great relationship with them, what's something super funny about them? And then we'll do the drawing for. Okay. Yeah, I put some here. You know, also Bible study, Hannah group, golf foursome, just who outside of the work arena. If y'all could just fill that out, that would be awesome. And then that brings a close.
Thank you, Will.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope it was beneficial. Some stuff you can carry forward. I've had that before. That won't count. Thank you. That's what I did for 17 years, man.
When I was reading that, I was like, well, this explains the Sage.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed all the family, they were
Yeah.
sorry too.
Yeah. My wife's totally into fashion too. And then, so carries on to the kids very easily.
Reach out to you for a suit.
I've got a lot of connections here.
Huh? You were getting married. I'll get married again. I got married twice. I know.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You told me the story.
Kyle, we got married twice too. I said my vows to him in English, then I said them again to him in Spanish.
I'm gonna run to the restroom and we'll just be right back.
Two different countries. I got married here. I went to Mexico and got married. My daddy,
Okay.
my daddy walked me down the aisle here, and his daddy walked me down the aisle in Mexico. It was really cool.
something like that in San Antonio that his wife is Colombian, and so they did their little thing here in the States, and then a few months ago I went to Colombia, and their little ceremony with their family. I was like, wow,
I had to read my vows because I could read Spanish, but at that time I really didn't know exactly what I was saying. So it was a good thing I said my vows in English first before I said it in Spanish. Oh, no, I interpreted it. My brother-in-law's the one that did.
She had a chest test today. Her health issues were going on, of course, that was her not much like it, and well, so she went to the house to rest. That's just a little heart rate. So I think a lot to
it's I did a couple of things as far as like earnest money and option money can go directly to escrow. You don't have to send option money to the seller. Yeah.
When did it go through?
Well, they said it's already legally, I guess, changed yet, but I think they're gonna rewrite it early next year, like in March or something. It should be final.
what longer you do.
Well, I was working from home.
First, the
Discuss.
same thing. Would you guys, I think it was on the way it's set. Honestly, no, I mean, that's something I'll read, but I think mentors and. There's. I know they want to say about the, even the, that you go. This, every, agents are teaching you in and out of how to, get you off the ground. No, the, focus on how to
Is there something that you need?
Nope.
What about the introductions?
Yeah, that, and then I'll do the drawing with that.
I gotta head out.
Okay.
Perfect.
Well, I'll do the drawing. Awesome. And then if you are, because then I can follow up. Yeah, I'd love to follow up. I know it's building stage. If I were to follow up, what would be the right timing just to check in? I get it. Okay. Yeah, y'all moving next summer? When'd you say y'all are moving? Okay. Should I call you Summer? Okay. Yeah, it's just been I don't want to say what today. I'll put that team down there.
Well, I think I'm in the same boat with the little dude. So I'm trying to get at least even my first transaction done before I even think about.
Okay. Yep. Yep. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. July. And any introductions for y'all? Okay. Yep. Yeah, I know you mentioned that. Oh. Thanks for hanging out. And I hope it was useful to you guys both. So, if I can help in any way, just questions or ask, further questions from what we covered today. I'll try to do research.
I know what I'll be working on now.
Yeah, thanks for sitting in.
Yeah, Rhonda still wants to meet with you.